Now, as the country awaits President Cyril Ramaphosa's cabinet announcement, the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation has raised concerns on what it terms undue expectation on the part of some political parties who want specific portfolios in the government of national unity. The Ahmed Kathrada Foundation's Neeshan Balton joins us now to take us through their views on the back and forth between the Democratic Alliance and ANC that's stalling the GNU talks. Good afternoon, Neeshan. Thank you very much for joining us. So today was a very significant day where the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation, along with others, started the process that will see citizens engage in a national dialogue on a number of issues plaguing the country. But before we get to today's event, I'd like for us to start with the most recent developments on the GNU talks. So 2 letters have since leaked, one from the DA's John Steenhuisen, the other from President Cyril Ramaphosa. The DA in its letter has expressed dissatisfaction, of course, at the offer of 6 cabinet posts, saying they feel as though they are sacrificing more from their proportional allocation than the ANC because they felt they were entitled to 9 cabinet posts. Then the president, in his fiery letter, characterizes the DA's conduct as some sort of an attempt to set up a parallel government with its own framework. Your views on what's unfolding now?
Well, I think it's unfortunate that these discussions have not been confined to the negotiating chambers, and we are left to interpret what was in fact discussed there and what is now in writing. And in fact, in some quarters, there might even have been doubt about the authenticity of the letters, but let's assume that they are authentic. It is an indication that the power sharing and the discussion relating to that power sharing is not as smooth as some people would have expected. I didn't think it was going to be smooth at all. These are parties that have hardly shared social events together and are now having to talk about sharing power, which is a much more complicated and complex. So I think these are expected hurdles. Mm-hmm. These are the to and fro's of negotiations, and putting it out in the public is in fact attempts by both parties or others to intensify pressure around their particular positions. I am sure, however, that they will find solutions or common ground, even if it means that they would have to revert to old positions about minority governments or other forms of government. Mm-hmm. But these are not unexpected.
I want us to touch on those options there, perhaps that of the minority government. But before that, I want us to revisit your point around this now playing out in the public domain, because it is causing a lot of anxiety among South Africans who want to get that announcement on a cabinet, which would signify some level of stability. The president in his letter had somewhat of a firm tone, because it sounds to many as though he's had enough, because he starts by saying the DA's habit of negotiating through correspondence is quite problematic for him. He would have preferred face-to-face. What did you make of just that statement? Because that's at the very beginning, where he states that it's a bit problematic that you've got letters going back and forth.
I also want us to just go back to the CODESA talks and President Mandela's response to de Klerk at the time. It would have seemed as if the negotiations were going to break down after that particular rebuttal by Madiba, but they didn't. They in fact strengthened the appreciation of each other, and people knew where the lines were that they were not going to cross thereafter. And I think in this process, what you're seeing here is the posturing leading towards the establishment of boundaries that each other will not hopefully cross hereafter. So I think this is natural in the cause of something that neither party was prepared for or had anticipated, and are now finding themselves having to create solutions for which there were no previous templates.
Mm-hmm. But do they have options to walk away here? Let's start perhaps with the ANC. Can they afford to walk away at this point?
I'm sure that all parties have factored in the possibilities of walking away. The ANC surely can look at that. It has other options that it perhaps has explored, which would be the issue of forming a minority government, and which would leave it then at the mercy of the majority in parliament on any given issue, which really means that policy proposals would go to parliament on a case-by-case basis, and it would never be guaranteed of having overwhelming support. But it is a possibility, and not a possibility that I think either party would want at this point in time.
All right. Thank you very much, Neeshan. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. That's Ahmed Kathrada Foundation's Neeshan Balton there speaking to us.